Imagine you showed up at a trailhead in a national forest that you've been to before, and now there's somebody brand new asking you for money to park there. And you might think it's odd because the last time you were there, you had paid the National Forest Service a fee to park there. And now there's somebody different asking for money. And you might be wondering, why do I have to pay money at all to park at a trailhead in these national public lands? Well, all of those things have happened to us recently here in Southern California. If you think it's just here, it can happen to anyone. National forests have been charging parking fees all over the country. There's the Adventure Pass here in Southern California. There's a Northwest Forest Pass. There's other ones around the country. And generally, why they have these is to offset the costs, right? The National Forest Service is probably not funded too well. More and more people are going into the outdoors, and they just need the money to do things like clean the toilets and haul the trash out of there. So that all kind of makes sense. It's not too crazy to think that we'd be paying a little bit for that. But I've never seen a third party charging for parking in a national forest. Maybe that's common other places, but here I think that's a first. But using the national forests commercially is not a first. Sometimes you can see signs that says land of many uses. And that's because unlike a national park, which is all sort of protected for recreation, a national forest is supposed to be used in a balanced way. Not only is there conservation and recreation, but there's also things like logging and mining. It's managed by the National Forest Service or the local National Forest Service. You might see things like ski slopes. Those are great examples of that, right? Mount Hood has it. Here in Southern California, there's a resort called Mountain High, Mount Waterman. Those companies lease the land from the National Forest Service in order to, set up skiing areas. And then you go to that skiing area and you pay them to use the lifts and use the facilities and everything. That all makes sense. And that's a big way that a National Forest Service will make money. But this idea of paying for trailhead access is a new one, at least I said for me. I got word of this. A few of my supporters emailed me and said, hey, they're charging a fee. I thought it was a scam. I didn't know what this was at a place called Vincent Gap and some other trailheads around here. So I reached out to the Angeles National Forest. They never responded to me. I also reached out to Mountain High, which is the concessioner who is doing this parking or charging people for parking at places like Vincent Gap. They did not respond to me as well. I did find this one webpage on the Mountain High website that says that this is happening now, and they will be providing janitorial and landscaping services for the trailhead. And nothing necessarily on the trail, but you're paying for them or paying them to clean the toilets and landscape the parking lot. And I think that's a pretty big slap in the face to people who use these trailheads and maybe already bought a parking pass. I've also heard through the grapevine, I called a bunch of visitor centers around here and talked to some volunteers, and they all said that, yes, this is a real thing. This is not a scam, and that potentially the Forest Service will be putting out concessions out there, soliciting concessions for other parking areas along Angeles Crest Highway here in Southern California. So it could be a situation where you need 4 or 5 different parking passes depending on which trailhead you're parking at, which again is really not cool. And you might be saying, how can they do this? How can they even do this? There is a law that says you cannot charge for parking or roadside attractions access in a national forest. And the only exception to that is if there are facilities like there's a list right here. I'll put it on the screen. If you have these things, you can charge a fee. But what happened was a few years ago in Southern California, people sued Angeles National Forest, and they said the whole idea of an adventure pass is, not fair. It's not, breaks this law. And they eventually settled out of court. And the way I understand it is that if you use a facility in Angeles National Forest that has those amenities like a bathroom, a picnic table, an interpretive sign, then you owe a recreation fee. You need to use this parking pass, the adventure pass. But they will also offer an area within a half a mile where you can park on the side of the road or another parking area and skip that fee. Now, this to me is crazy because if you know the topography, if you know this area, Angeles Crest Highway is a very narrow highway, windy road, cars go flying up and down this road. And now you're asking hikers to park along the road somewhere, walk along this road, potentially putting themselves and other drivers in danger. So that's a crazy idea to me, but that's what was settled on. I also heard informally that people would write, I am not using the facilities or any of the amenities, and I am parking here as part of my right as per this law that I put up. And that had worked for some people. All I did was I bought a America the Beautiful pass, which is an American Parks pass, gets you into every national park, national forest, BLM land. Then I don't have to worry about whether there's bathrooms or not. I just put that little card on my dashboard. Overall, this is a really horrible thing, I think, and a step backwards, not only for public lands, but for hiking and the hiking community, people with disabilities who want to go hike. Now we have to pay a third party to access a trailhead. Please leave me a comment if you have any thoughts on it, or if you can induce anything. And if you are Mountain High or Angeles National Forest or anyone else involved in this, leave me a comment. And if it is important, I will pin it to the top of the comments thread. Sorry if I rambled a bit there, but I'm just I'm a little miffed. I'm a little steamed about this. Kind of not really great for the outdoors community. Anyway, guys, stay safe out there, have fun, and I will see you out on the trails.